Hey guys, my name is Marta, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Guy de Maupassant's Une Vie, translated to English as A Life. I will put the English cover here. Une Vie is a late 19th century French classic by one of the most well-known French naturalists, Guy de Maupassant. He wrote a few novels and plenty short stories, all of which are quite different, but all of which share the very in-depth descriptive characteristic of naturalism. When it comes to Une Vie, this book tells the story of young Jeanne, who has just been released from the convent in which she spent her childhood in, now that she is 17. She then moves with her parents for a while to this small town where all she expects to get is a man that will be the love of her life and that she will marry and live a happy life with. But if that was what happened in the book, it would be quite a boring story. So Maupassant chooses to paint a vivid depiction of what life could end up being for a young, naive woman living in 19th century France. So once Jeanne moves to this town, she rapidly meets this man that she expects will be the love of her life, and without thinking twice about who this man is, she ends up marrying him. Her parents are very happy because they've married her girl, so she can now start living her life as an adult woman. Nevertheless, the very same night Jeanne marries Julien, who is this man, she starts to reflect upon the fact that she doesn't really know him, and she starts to kind of regret her rapid choice in marrying him. The book then starts telling us the story of Jeanne from the point she marries Julien and everything that goes on in that marriage and maybe even beyond that marriage. It's a very sad story. Jeanne's life is not an easy one. She keeps being hit with a tragedy after another tragedy, and she somehow manages to survive them all and to remain quite a hopeful woman in spite of everything going terribly wrong at some points. Since, as I have said, Maupassant is a naturalist, one of the most salient parts of the book are its descriptions. The landscapes in the settings that Julien and Jeanne find themselves in are very beautifully described, and he manages to capture the light and the environment in a way that almost resembles an impressionistic painting. Another high of the descriptions is in relation to the character's psychology. Maupassant is a master at psychological writing. If you've read anything by him, whether L'Orla, one of his most, if not his most well-known short stories, or Bellamy, which is his most well-known work, you will already know that he is amazing at letting you know the psychology of his characters, his reasons for acting the way they act, and everything that goes on inside their mind, not only by directly telling you that, but also in the characters' actions. He really is a master in showing and not telling why the characters are doing a certain thing. The characters are then one of the most amazing things in the book, and even though as a reader you might get a bit angry at Jeanne, she really is nothing more than a poor victim of the times. One thing that you really get to see depicted in the novel is the way women had to suffer in marriage, in society in general, because of what was expected of them, and how despite everything going wrong, they, out of fear, sometimes ended up doing or remaining in situations that were absolutely horrible. This is a very short book. It's a book that in my edition was no more than 230 pages, and I believe the English translation must be something similar, but that is still a very fulfilling story. I think I said it at the beginning of the video, but it tells the story of Jan's life from her being young to her being almost an old lady, and you really get to see her struggle, you really get to see her interact with a lots of different characters, all of which are a part of her life, and which sometimes, not all of them, but some of them help her, some of them really don't, and you really get to see how these also evolve as time moves on. It's a book that I don't think will leave you indifferent. If you read it, you might hate Jan or don't like her, find her a frustrating character to read about, but you are still going to enjoy the book, or at least I think so. Maybe if you don't like very descriptive stories, you won't like this. I don't think I have said this already, but it's quite a quiet book. It's not a book where a lot of action happens, so if you come into this thinking that it's going to be like The Count of Monte Cristo, because you've read that recently as a piece of French classical fiction, you will not like this. This is the complete opposite of The Count of Monte Cristo. But to wrap up this video, if I had to compare this to a Victorian classic, so same time period, but in Britain, I would say you might like this if you enjoyed Thomas Hardy's Tess of the D'Urberville. I cannot say it will work if you like Hardy in general, because I've only sadly read Tess by him, but like Tess, it tells us the story, the very tragic story of a young woman, and also like Tess, it has these very beautifully written descriptions of nature. When it comes to my rating, I gave the book 5 stars on Goodreads, but it was more of a 4.5 since I preferred Bellamy by the author. I think I have a review published on my channel. If I do, I will link it down below, but I still really enjoyed this book. It has solidified Maupassant as probably my favorite male author from 19th century France, and I cannot wait to read more of him in the future, because as I said at the beginning, he wrote a lot of stuff, so I have a lot of things to continue my Maupassant journey. I think that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you've read this book, or if you want to comment, also tell me also if you have ever heard of it, if you read any other Maupassant. Just let's share the love for some French literature that it's not usually talked about on English speaking booktube, I think, and I hope I see you in my next video.